Okay. Let's see. Hey, Brandy, does this fit? I guess. I think I'm gonna put it here. So that we can get a better. I'm just gonna have to watch my battery. Go. Yeah, we got 5 people. Yeah. Okay. I think this will sound better if I have it. Okay. Hey everybody, we're gonna get started. We're gonna start. So thank you today for coming to the Central City Community Council meeting. I'm Austin, resident of Central City. We always start out going around asking people why they're here. If you live in Central City, if you work for an organization, you're represented today. So let's go around and start with Brianna.
Hi, Brianna Graves. I'm the chair of the Central City Community Council and resident to Richmond Park.
Byron Head, I also live next to Richmond Park. I'm on the transportation. I'm sure it's all good. I live in Central City.
My name is Richard Lamborn. I live at St. Mark's Tower, which is one of the 2 cement apartment buildings. Just start to get there. I think if you have to have a facial hair.
Okay, as soon as you get back. I'll see you when you get back. I have to do some errands.
I don't know this.
I'm gonna go see how the plums are doing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute her. And if you're not on our email list yet, be sure to sign up.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
Put an email list.
I'm Ana Valdemoro. I'm the council member for District 4, and I live at 350 South 200, the metro, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, where the construction is happening or has been happening for the last 10 years.
I'm Cindy Brummer, and I have 3 rental properties in 600 East, and one of them has a component crop from some farm shows. You can buy them from the Big Heights Fresh if you want to, or you can let me know, like down your name and number, and I'll harvest them.
So are you selling them to Living Guys Fresh?
Give them away to people who live in Central City to show up.
All right.
No,
I'm Chippy House Road Mayor. City liaison. I feel like I live citywide.
My name is Cassie, and I live in East Central City.
She's on the border.
But yes, right at the.
Welcome.
I'm Sarah Deronic. I work in the planning division and on the family.
And I am Tom Jacob, architect for the band.
First time here? Cool. Yeah, make sure you're on our email list. Thanks.
I think you're our furthest north resident.
Right on that.
Yeah, we wanna push farther north. We have a lot of fun. Thanks.
Derek Draper, who a bit of work with Brandy on the safety and prevention side, and a little more on night, above night.
Hi, my name is Brandy Burnham. I'm the vice chair of the Central City Neighborhood Council, and I'm on the Crime and Safety Committee and pick up litter in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I live on Senate South End.
Thanks, man. Okay, we got 5 people here online. You guys want to introduce yourselves to the group?
Hey, some of you probably know me. I'm Kyle Urban, a transportation planner at Salt Lake City.
There.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's see. Oh, got someone. Should I start calling out names? So yeah, Vicky's iPad. Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Gerald, and I'm Vicky's better half, I guess. And we live in Liberty Square Apartments.
Okay, Cooper.
Hi everyone, my name is Cooper. I'm an intern with the Salt Lake City Council office, so I work directly under Councilmember Valdemoros.
Thank you, Cooper. And then Esther, you want to introduce yourself?
Esther, are you there?
Oh, yep, the transmission's been a little tough. Yeah, it's Esther Hunter. I'm chair of the East Central Community Council, your neighbor. So,
Okay, thanks for joining, Esther. And then we've got Wade. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm under Wade. My name is Emily Nelson, and I'm working on the hotel project on Broadway.
That's right. Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm gonna move this over. So Esther.
And someone's not muted.
Yeah, I'm muted too. So we've gotten feedback that our recordings have sucked and they have, the audio's been really bad. So we're gonna ask you guys, if you're talking, if you're presenting, be right here, be behind the pulpit, so that the camera can see you and speak to the camera more or less, or you know, the people in the room, so that people can hear you. So we're gonna start with city updates. And let's see, Rebecca, do you want to do our team update?
Sure. Friday, park. It's getting out there.
Any questions about homelessness issues in the area? You know, Rebecca works on the heart team. They're the group that's assigned to work on those issues for the city.
Is everyone on your team still the same, or do you have anyone new, or anyone new, or it's all the same group?
Let's see, we have you met, Hannah Regan?
I don't know if I met her. Is she?
She's been like 2 months, she's doing that zoning steward. So Hannah, and then Chris Girl is now doing rapid intervention team, and then hired for me. September 18th, I think.
And Chris, Joseph Ramos is still there, right?
He's first.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
We need all the help we can get in parks.
I just wanted to add that my office or Salt Lake City Council 4 has a table at the resource fairs when they happen in District 4, and I always connect used clean clothes. So I have a table, I put the clothes out, also have breakfast for men shelter friends. These clothes go away within 15 minutes or 20 minutes. I mean, it's unbelievable. So if anybody has any clothes that you were thinking about the DI or any other big store, please drop them off on the 3rd floor at the council office. We'll take them and then we'll sort them out with volunteers on Friday or any of these. It's becoming pretty popular. Yes, it's always open for donations. Thank you.
Would now be a good time, I'm very new, say a bit more about what you do in practical terms?
In practical terms, ART is a very small team of 6 people who is over the whole city. Anything regarding homelessness, we touch the release like by your body. We don't do individual work, but we triage things, we do resource fairs, kayak, or we communicate entities with each other. There's a bunch of behind the scenes, the SLC mobile app in terms of running homelessness and
That goes to you.
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so we do a lot of like behind the scenes. We fund the clean team of added services and young ambassadors as well. So
They do a lot of work.
try and have some
I always wonder if you guys sleep at all.
Okay, thanks. Let's move on to Tim. Tim, do you mind coming up here? So they're in the screen.
I got a lot today. Council member Morrison, I just came from a meeting with condos. Here.
I feel like that's my,
I met with the neighborhood condos.
it was a great turnout. They
Oh.
had 20 homeowners. Yeah, at least 20 people there.
We met with 20 homeowners there and just listened, had a great conversation, tried to show them the scope on the micro level and the macro level of what the city's doing to address all the demands citywide. Where should I start? Well, the homeless resource fair is this Friday, September 8th at Pioneer Park. If you've never attended, we encourage you to go, just so you can get an idea of the scope of the resources that the city puts together to our unsheltered residents. It's a good opportunity to see a little piece of it in the micro level. Crossing guards are still needed. School started back. Maybe you've seen some signs around the neighborhood. City council liaisons and mayor's liaisons taking around signs that says slow down, schools in session. And it's at all your schools. If you would like to put one out on your street, see a higher traffic volume, we encourage you to go to your local elementary school and pick up a sign or contact the liaison's office in the city council, the mayor's office, and we'll get the sign to you. Yeah, and they're still hiring crossing guards. And $17 an hour. So if you have time, help provide public student safety, the kids cross the streets safe. Capital improvement program, are you going to talk about that one, Anna?
You can talk about it. I should
So
have
this-
for District 4. I can list them out. You have them? No.
Well, just the CIP funding for capital improvement projects is open. It opens September 1st. So that's for you, the constituents you have. If you identify a capital improvement project in your neighborhood, whether it's an island that needs some landscaping and maybe, I think it was 500 west there between Euro Treasures and Maverick, or they went up on 12 East, where they have the big medians in the road. Something like that that adds as a community asset has to be a investment that lasts for 5 years. It can be as little as $50,000 in cost, up to $500,000 in cost. But it's one that the mayor's city council's office has been very supportive of, because it comes from you, the constituents. So you can cross-pollinate, share. I know East Liberty Park Community Organization and Ballpark a few years ago joined together and applied for Kensington Byway, and that got funded as a CIP project. So it just kind of shows you as a collaborative effort the kind of investments that we can make in shared space.
Yeah, our transportation committee is working on a CIP application.
Oh, great.
You'll see one.
Oh, great. That would be great to see.
Yeah, thanks to Brian and Troy.
All of ours. Iron and Kyle. What else? I passed around an update sheet that we just put out this week with all of the things that city, not all of the things, but a lot of the things the city's doing to address homelessness. And you didn't get one, I can change that. Just to try to show you the scope of what it is we're working on. I mean, it's huge. There's so much going on. We just opened up 94 units of permanent supportive housing, and that's critical when our homeless resource centers are 99.4% capacity. And we're trying to transition people into housing. The permanent supportive housing has caseworkers that will help work them in the permanent housing. And then those bed spaces that were at the homeless resource centers get freed up. We can move more people in from the streets into the homeless resource centers. The state legislature approved for the overflow shelter to be at the West Valley City this year. And, you probably are aware the city, Salt Lake City's been taking responsibility and the lead for that year after year.
Is it gonna be 24 hours this year?
Yeah, 24 hours, which is a big change. I mean, you know, they're not closed
They've got-
during the day.
It's great, and then they've already announced that they wanna do some sort of sanctuary camping, but they're working on it, you know, so that's something for.
Yeah, the overflow shelter, West Valley City will be 24/7. That means the meals, showers, restrooms are all available there on site. They don't have to queue someplace else from a homeless resource center to an overflow shelter to the Wiegand Center to get food. That will be, or the St. Vincent's Dining Hall to get food. It'll be at West Valley City. So that's a big change. But the city council, the mayor, Salt Lake County, we have more bed spaces opening up this winter than we've ever had before. We've gone from 300 to about 600.
Which leads to my question then, which services are year round and which ones are just?
Well, therein lies the problem. Because they're funded about, we're only getting, I mean, as finite resources are available. We fund them from the beginning of November through April 15th. So primarily in the winter time for those services. The permanent supportive housing is ongoing, and I don't know, there's some other ones like medically fragile housing that we just got funding for, but it's temporary. I think that one's for a year and a half. And that's opening up in Sandy. And that will house about 160 people, mostly a lot of mental health access.
Is there any consideration given to having those open year round or not?
Yeah, I have a position.
Any consideration, I would love to, of course, yes.
I'll send you a
It's
check.
trying to convince the
The
legislature.
legislature and the other municipalities, so what, the positive thing is that we moved from absolutely the last 4 years, or 4 years ago was absolutely not, this is a Salt Lake City problem, so you guys figure it out. To that we telling the legislatures, it is not a Salt Lake City problem exclusively. We need the help. Can you guys help us? And finally, there has been so much push that finally we moved from, okay, we're gonna force you to open up more beds in the winter with no help, you have to do it, to fine, we're gonna give you some money, because you've seen the change here on 7th South and 2nd East because of the, for example, that within the Key Resource Center, to actually Davis County and Utah County, now you have to have a winter overflow plan. And also, other cities in the county, not Salt Lake City, only has to have a winter overflow plan, and this is why the 600 units. So for us, it's a huge accomplishment because we have shifted that conversation, and it's not the taxpayers here paying for the statewide issue. What's not enough is that we moved only for the winter overflow. We haven't gone to, hey, we need resources throughout the year, not just the winter. I think it's coming. If you see Wayne Eitherhouse's presentation from yesterday, please go back to YouTube. Wayne is a homeless resource director for the state. He had a really good presentation of what's going to happen and what he's going to ask at the legislature this coming session about more funding for the throughout the year-long funding. And we'll be there fighting along him, asking the legislature, and we'll need you guys to email all our reps out there. Please help Salt Lake City, please have more funding for the year-round.
So
That's our next step.
the answer to my question is money now. But I live very close to Clifford Park. And when the weather's bad, no one's there, uneducated, curious guy that I am. Where'd they go? They must have some place to go, whether it's a comfortable place or not.
A lot of them crash on couches and stuff and go bounce around, from what they've told me, so.
Okay,
It's attractive.
and then, of course, in the winter. Okay, you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
The answer is, okay, great.
And we're doing everything we can in the city to address that, and I say we are, because we meet every Thursday. And believe it or not, we go over every encampment citywide. And we try to prioritize giving resources to those encampments. We can't get to them all, and they cover the whole entire city, so we have to prioritize. Kind of like a triage where we can go at that time to address them.
Does everyone want that role?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I know that doesn't.
A lot of people don't.
First live on street.
First, I ask me to get into a shelter, especially at night, especially women that are sleeping outside my shop. I'm like, can I please take you to the shelter? And then you'll be safe. No, I'm fine. I'll just.
And there's different reasons, you know, it's very complex. A lot of people are self-medicating, a lot of people have mental health issues which they can't get addressed because we don't have a good mental health system within our state of the United States.
So even with all the money in the world, what do we do if they don't want help?
Yeah.
So I'm very passionate about it, and that's a good question, and I've been posing this question forever because I'm from a third world country, and so I know that there is like the lack of money, and I came to this country 23 years ago, and I can see the abundant resources that this country has. And if we all wanted to do housing and do the 77,000 housing units that Wayne said are needed, trust me, the money is there to get it done. So we could potentially do it. I think like it's possible, but then the question is, what do we do with those that don't want to go? And that's a conversation that we as a society need to have. And it's a mental health issue, whether it be small, the anxiety that you just lost everything that you're homeless to. I suffer from paranoia and schizophrenia, and I need the medical help and the medication. Like we have to talk about that. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what maybe we have to start a think tank just about mental health.
At a certain point, when you're dealing with it, you're at what point the system whatever it is, like medication or like my case managers keep on putting on me, you know, and so we like to stay on our team calling. Then getting out is the exact same. I mean, you're all gonna have handfuls, like really won't be up. It's like there's so many reasons. One, but
Yeah, hey, sorry to interrupt, but just to stay on schedule, we've got to wrap up these city updates and move
We
on.
have a couple campaigns that are currently going on. The Aisle Free campaign, that's from the Department of Sustainability. So it's encouraging people not to sit in their cars idling, which you would think makes common sense, but during the warm weather, people sit in their cars with their air conditioning on. During the cold weather, people sit in their cars with the heater on. But guess what it does? It creates emissions that we all breathe in conversions in the summertime, in the winter. So we're encouraging, it's an education campaign, but
Is it long?
I agree. So there's an ordinance that we have to follow.
It's hard to enforce.
No, yeah.
Hard to enforce. There's also, I passed this around, council member Baltimore, and I get called on this at least weekly. With being courteous on your scooters. And you can help pass these around. I've made many, so if you wanna take these and just educate and awareness and help that education campaign so that people are, it's again, another ordinance that's against the law to ride scooters
On
and
the sidewalk.
bicycles on sidewalks downtown. And it creates a real hardship for people who are walking around, trying to get around. We gotta all remember that we use this shared space collectively, and that's why we invest so much in bicycle paths, pedestrian paths. I mean, it's remember about last one. Looking at.
We do, there are some. So a few years ago, we had to choose 2 providers, like that was the rule, like we're gonna choose 2 providers and see if we can get the best out of that. My beef with it was, you pay really little to Salt Lake City to use our streets, and you're making money off of us. And we have to pay for them, all of that, we have to pay for the maintenance, and you keep paying more and also use all of your tech stuff that you use in Washington DC, where if somebody tries to park on this sidewalk, the timer keeps going because it's telling you can't park there. So they said, well, you know, we don't have it ready yet. We have to give us a few more years to figure this out. And I think that is coming up for the renewal. Now I'm gonna bring that up again because I think we had enough time. I mean, it's happened in the city. It's not, you know, they have. So I would like them to be able to charge people, like not park on the sidewalks, park in a designated area, and also the speed limits as well. So that's nice for that team for this week. Sorry, we need to.
I don't know if Kyle was gonna talk about the street.
Yeah, that's, we could ask Kyle, he's gonna do for some transportation
But he's
stuff.
getting to get the streets up.
Yeah,
There's a lot of events coming up, it's in the park.
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Friday, But there's also the Genesee alleyway cleanup, September 9th, which historically September 11th has been a day of service in Salt Lake City. There's a lot of opportunities this year. It's gonna be September 9th. But if you want to put on some gloves, bring a rake, bring some garbage bags, we're doing alleyway cleanups throughout the city. We have targeted areas that we've identified. We're trying to organize it in an organized group so that there's enough support for these alleyways that we've targeted. You're welcome to scan this.
And that's Poplar Grove area, right?
Yeah, this one is, there's several others that we're, but you can just scan that and pass it around. But just to bring to your attention that that's a citywide effort that's being organized by Katie Reiser, the volunteer forum director of the city. And then community office hours, you know, the mayor's office goes out to the community to address any concerns, answer any questions outside of the community council and outside of the city hall. This month I'll be at the Pizza in the Park and the 9th Street Festival, which is going to be Saturday, September 16th at Liberty Park. It's night has construction. And I'll be at the library up here with the DOA on September 9th, Tuesday. The 18th or 9th, whatever that Tuesday is.
Cool. Thanks, Tim.
Yep. Any other questions?
Anna, do you have anything?
Not much more to say than what Tim has said. I'm sending out the newsletter, so you'll see a little bit of a recap of what's happening. And also I have a new liaison. I think you remember Brian, and then I have Julie, and now I have a permanent one. Her name is Olivia Erickson. She's a rock star, has a lot of experience with the legislature, and us. So she'll be the one screening and talking to you guys and trying to troubleshoot if I can. And so other than that, I will see you on Friday, and I'm gonna be there as a candidate, not as a council.
Okay.
Just FYI.
That's good. Yeah, I think we're allowing all candidates to bring materials.
Okay. And I'll be going to the homelessness forum that they're having at the Baptist Church right now. The mayor.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll hit committee updates really quickly. I'll talk about like River Rock / another apartment area cleanup that we're trying to work on. So if you've been with us a year or so, we helped River Rock Apartments get under control. It was a multi-agency effort, you know, like the city helped, Utah Housing Corp helped, the state helped, we got the county to help, everyone cracked down, and it's much better than it was a year ago. So we're looking at doing the same thing on 30s. You know, Tim's been working on it for a while. Anna's been working on it. I met with their HOA president earlier this week, and we set out a plan of action of how to engage that Utah Housing Corporation, because the entire, actually, like both sides of the street are affordable housing funded by the LIHTC program, federal money. So there's strings attached. They have to maintain it properly, and there's accountability. So we're going to engage Utah Housing Corporation. We're going to engage the county health department, you know, show issues that are happening, and hope to get some good old crackdown on the landlords there and get the place cleaned up.
You also have to give them their tenant.
Yeah, and I think you said it's like a $300 per month fee or something. It's pretty insane. And then events update.
Yeah, we have our Sun Park event on Friday, at 5, from 5 to 7. You can go with us, and Tim, I don't know if this is the right time, but, be able to hang out with the hours.
It was, they talked about Friday. Yeah, but I did talk to somebody, I remember, so I can chat with them. But they gave the approval to park the pizza truck.
In the law, yeah.
Or you can mark off the pizza truck space on the street.
Okay. Yeah, people let us know if we can get power on Austin's dam.
Yeah, we're gonna do some live music.
Did you see or notice an outlet on there?
There's one up in the building, but it's all sealed off, so I don't know.
Is that the one there is?
As far as I know, so there's that on Friday. Let's see, bike farms on September 16th, same day as 9th and 9th, at Liberty Park. On September 17th, there's a celebration of life for Andy Tumblr at 5:30. September 19th is the Ivory Innovations Housing First event.
Yeah.
That's really important for our neighborhood, trying to get some for sale housing. You can send me more info about that.
Transportation plan.
Yeah, we, are going to be applying for the CIP grant that Tim mentioned earlier. We did a survey over the last couple of months about the, top 3 kind of concepts that we're, choosing between, and, the leader at the moment is, 600 South, doing some intersection improvements at, 4th East and 5th East, and also, allowing westbound traffic to go one more block so that it's not dumping cars on that 4th Street onto the 6th East, which is the neighborhood. So that's our front end concept right now. Survey is still open, but the application now, so we need to get started on that. So maybe I'll close that by the end of the week. Send out another survey link for them who hasn't seen it and would like to participate.
Yeah, has everyone voted? They got, honestly, we've gotten pretty low number of votes on that. Yeah. We've got more than 7 residents here, so, and if you're on that, I mean, you're on the newsletter list, so I'll send another reminder of the pizza in the park thing, and with the transportation committee voting on there, so please vote when you get that.
And other than that, yeah, Kyle's here to talk about local streets, but a portion of our neighborhood is about to come online for some local traffic calming potential, and Kyle will be on the little screen talking about that in a minute.
Cool. Thanks. And then public safety, any updates from you guys?
As I've been going through the parks, it's improving more and more, but it's taking a lot of work. I have people in the towers watching Tafford Park, seniors, and I go there and pick up, and I'm starting to, the last few weeks, talk more to the unsheltered people and communicate with them, and they're listening to me, and they're slowly kind of modifying their behavior as far as leaving trash out. And I've noticed it's becoming less and less, and I'm picking up. And it's working. Yeah, I mean, I've gone to Liberty, and the artesian wall was a problem for a few weeks, really bad. And I met the lady in the house. She lives with her husband there right by the well, and she watches out. And I've been able to talk to the unsheltered people there and kind of clean it up a bit, deter some of the behavior. Like there's some urinating in the well area and some stuff going on there. So I think we've curbed that, hopefully. And they brought back the red and blue camera back to Tafford Park for my begging and pleading.
Where is it?
It's right up where it was before.
Across the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in the same place. I begged her to bring it back because they had taken it to allocate it somewhere else, but with my incident in the park last week, yeah, I just kind of was at a point and I just kind of freaked out and said, can you please bring this back? So it's there now, and hopefully that'll deter some behavior and help them. But yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think what everyone can do moving forward as residents, you know, everyone always says is if you see something, say something, right?
Yeah.
If you see issues, call it in,
Yeah.
right? If it's an emergency thing,
Please call it.
call it in. If it's not an emergency, call the non-emergency.
Report
You
it
can
back.
report stuff in the apps. If you see a shopping cart when you're walking around, report it in the app. You see a poop in the park, report it in the app. It actually works. You know,
Yeah.
Rebecca's there checking the stuff and sending it to the right people, and it gets cleaned up.
So, and if you have a little bag and you're going to the park, pick up some garbage if you can, you know, anytime that would help. In any of the parks, keep your eyes out. And if you see something you don't like, and for some reason you don't want to call the police or something, you should, but report it to me, text me, I will address it, I will do it myself. Or I'll go down there and look and see what's going on and report it. So please don't hesitate. What was that? Yes.
Police department.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, and last brief thing, land use, some land use updates. We met with the owner of the former Cocoa Kitchen. He's someone who wants to open a restaurant. He's always dreamt of opening a restaurant someday. So he bought that as a place to open a restaurant. He doesn't think he'll be able to open it and run it himself right now. And so he's probably just gonna fix it up, find someone to rent it and run their own restaurant there. And then someday he'll rent his own restaurant as the owner of the building, or he'll run it. And then
Has he had experience with this?
he's done like house flips before. This is his first
So-
retail building.
He can meet with our economic development office and
Okay.
they'll help with the plan.
To start a restaurant.
Start a restaurant.
Okay, I'll tell him that. I think he has his normal full-time job, and I don't think he's ready to leave that just yet, but I'll mention that resource to him.
Or somebody else is coming in to put a restaurant.
Okay,
They want help, assistance.
okay, cool. I'll do that. We also met with the owner of the retail office building on the corner of 7th South and 4th East. It has a music school in it right now. The music school will be leaving at the end of the year. And so he'll be looking for probably like small office tenant, maybe small retail. So if you know people that wants like small office space, pretty cheap, small retail space, then he's looking to fill that. And then lastly, we've been meeting with the Ivory Innovations people on their affordable housing and townhome project. Again, continually pushing them to sell the townhomes so that we have more home ownership in the neighborhood. Their goal is to make money on this. They want cash flowing asset. So selling houses is not meeting their goal of continual source of income, but you know, we'll keep pushing and see what happens. I think that's it for land use.
On those Austin,
Yeah.
Macon District is having a business festival.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be 6 different chambers of commerce.
Okay.
So they're used to working with businesses that, or persons who are trying to get established in on those businesses, but they will be there. So maybe connect those individuals with those
Okay.
chambers.
Yeah, Maven District's awesome.
When is that?
at Retail.
September 30th. Over
Okay.
9th and 9th south.
Be busy September.
And I connected the music school guy with Jen. Yeah. Okay, that's it for committee updates. So yeah, let's head over to Bamboo Multifamily. And we have a projector and you can hook in if you have HDMI. So yeah. HDMI? Yeah. That. Does your computer have HDMI?
Oh, you know what? Okay.
Okay, thank you. And I think while he's loading it up, Rihanna and I have talked about possibly having a meeting where we just focus on homelessness. And as we were just talking about earlier, I think it's pretty evident that we all have thoughts about it. You know, we have questions about it. I think it might be helpful to do it, but what do you guys think about a meeting on homelessness? And if we do that, like, who do you think we should bring? What things do you think we should talk about? You have a roadshow? You've been doing it over and over? Okay.
Yeah, we call it our roadshow.
Okay. Yeah.
She has a flu. Yeah, he's doing great down there in the park. He's really, I'm hearing a lot about them. Yeah. When you go to the
Yeah.
someone in church.
Yeah, we gotta get the Geraldine King people over because they're in our neighborhood. Dennis, because he's actually, Dennis is here right now.
You there, Dennis?
I think he's multitasking.
Oh.
I am here.
There's that deep voice.
Hello.
And
Hello.
would you guys have a preference on when we do that homelessness meeting?
Before winter, so it's
Sooner rather than later. So
Yeah.
October. I don't know.
Like
if we have
next
enough
month?
time to do that, but that would be next month.
You wanted to get a bigger place, well, so this is much in the city versus.
Okay.
I'll get some people I know about.
Either way, I don't know. I think we learned from we had like a crime and public safety meeting. I think we packed that agenda far too much. Because we had like district attorney.
And their entourage, both of them.
Yeah, it was too much. So
Then I had a private meeting with Sim Gill after that too, so it's crazy.
In terms of food with bite, I know it wants to go. I again would just kind of be interested in the nuts and bolts of how that works.
how what
Examples,
works?
I don't know, maybe I don't know if anybody responds to my messages or not. I think Friday I sent one in because Topher was out of control. And then
I usually get your texts all the time, but I didn't get.
I can send you one of them.
Okay.
And then like 2 days later, nobody's there. And I'm kind of like, well, was my message useful?
Yeah.
Or was it something else?
Yeah. No, it always. But yeah, unfortunately. Sometimes.
Well, no, but it worked. I mean, I guess it worked.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, no, it's
clear.
very.
And part of the Topher Park is you have to remember the Geraldine King Police Squad works only Monday through Thursday.
We're gonna try to expand that.
Okay, so,
And I think they
so
have higher
sometimes like
service.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday gets a little.
Less
wild.
coverage, and they're having.
Just saying this
Yeah.
big meeting, that might be.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just to
we
inform
should
you.
have some later, so you tried that last time.
Yeah. That's true.
Right.
You-
I'm asking.
You guys ready?
Richard, text me again if there's stuff at Taffy going on, because you texted me about Richmond, but text me about Taffy. for sure.
I should have like copied that over.
Cool, that'd be nice. Because I have eyes down. Are you in St. Mark's with
I'm
doors?
saying- So I'm back.
Okay, so I have people on the side, the south side, that's watching it, like it's.
I found that.
Okay,
And I
can you
can
tell us the
find out
address?
what it's
Tell us
on.
the address.
Yeah, but I can show you this one I said.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, my name is Tom Jacob, architect, practicing here in Salt Lake for the last 20 years. I'm just a sole practitioner, so I'm as small as you get. I'm sort of playing in this big guy's realm in terms of doing a little bit bigger project this time. But I bring a small scale touch to the work that I'm doing here in this project. So this project is located at 602 East, 300 South. It is owned by Sebastian Rimini and Catalina Del Torre, and they're the owners of the Livable. I don't know if you guys ever driven by their place. They've been there for 8 years, and they own 2 lots. They own a lot, what is the site plan? They own
The pink color.
yeah, the pink color area. So you can see the corner lot. They own the corner lot and also the lot adjacent to it at 612 East. And then the other interested property is in 321 South. So we're looking at joining 3 properties into one and creating a multifamily housing building. So if I were to convey any point here this evening, is that this is being developed by local people or for local people. The owners intend to build the project and to operate it and keep it within their family. So it's something that where it's contrary to the major development that you're seeing along Corner South, where a lot of big developers from LA, New York are coming in and building these enormous buildings. We're kind of more on the verge of a missing middle situation here with this housing that we hope for. But to make it economically feasible, we're looking at a denser type of housing unit, which is popularly known as the micro unit. So just to start off, we did kind of extensive survey of the properties within your neighborhood, and especially in relationship to building more housing complex. So within just your district, there is precedent for 3 to 4 story buildings that are relatively blocky. They coexist next to smaller residential homes, and I'll kind of click through the photos as we go, but we kind of have 3 kind of main points that we developed when we worked on this design. And the first one is where the Central City Master Plan, from our interpretation, really expresses a desire to reestablish housing within this district. There was originally a lot more housing, apartment buildings. They went under some other names. They're like SROs and single-use buildings, and they were sort of periodically demolished over the last 100 years. And so probably around, maybe Sarah, you can correct me, but I think around the 60s and 70s, the cities noticed the fact that this housing type began to become diminished use within the area, and they're encouraging more housing. So it's a big part of the master plan that is written within the master plan itself. The second point is that the nature of this particular block area, the 2 block faces of 600 East and 300 South, is that we're really in a kind of a transitional zone between the higher density of 400 South and how that merges into the residential area along 300 South. So there's all commercial development along 600 South, as you know, And then we're kind of turning into more of the traditional 3-story kind of Victorian type homes on 300 South. So this corner is, you know, kind of a sort of a crook of the elbow, if you will, in this particular area where it's in between this idea of commercial and residential. So we feel it's a good place to anchor that corner and blend this transition zone. So as I was mentioning before, you know, there is a lot of precedent for 3 to 4 story apartments and rooming houses within your neighborhood. And, you know, just to kind of click through these pretty quickly, you know, you can kind of see that, find a different kind of scale difference between, you know, what's old and new. And, you know, obviously, you know, this 117, even within this senior living, you know, adjacent to that, it's something that's part of your fabric. Taking that into account, when, you know, we can kind of dive into like our approach to the design. So this is the survey of the property, and but the corner building 602 East, 612, 321 South. That's, you know, kind of more blown up view of that. That will be part of the complex. And on the left is kind of a demolition plan of what we're planning to remove, and then on the right is the proposed housing complex. So I think the most difficult decision we had to make was to take out the 602 East. It's the city had classified it as non-contributing. So because of the stucco and I believe mostly the stucco, right?
And stucco and modification. So it's part of this.
Well, you are Sarah shares what the nuances. So
Sure, maybe Sarah probably speak a lot better.
So the block and the property are within the Central City Historic District. And so within historic districts, the city has surveys that they complete every so often. The last one was from 2012, 2013. And so we hired a consultant to go around and look at every building in the historic district. And they look at them and determine whether they're contributing to the historic district. That's if the historic features remain. You can see enough what the property looked like in the historic period. If they're non-contributing to the historic district. And so that's usually, if it's something that can be something that's out of period, so if it's a newer building, or it can be if a building has been altered so much that you can't tell as much what it looked like, or if the features have been changed so much that it's determined to be non-contributing, which was in the case with this one, where there was stucco that was applied in the 90s, and then there have also been some alterations to the front porch. And other smaller changes made over time. So that was the determination that made by the consultant that did the most recent survey, and then we did an administrative interpretation to look at that further and finalize that last year as well.
We have been working with Sarah for the last almost 6 years now. Okay. To find an appropriate solution for adding a little bit more housing to this corner, and we actually have original plans of keeping 602 East, but we had desire to tear down 612, which actually is considered a contributing building. It's much smaller scale, pretty humble building. But so we were kind of, in a way, pushed to developing more of the corner rather than doing more of the infill. So, you know, if you're interested, we can pull up some older studies, but you know, this is kind of where we're at in the process right now. So again, you know, the removal of 321 South is like actually it's an outer period building. That's why it's not contributing. This is kind of this square brick building, and then you know this Victorian is what the owners currently occupying in Livable, and then this is going to remain. We're going to do a small addition to this building in the rear. And then we have also remodeled the accessory dwelling unit that was actually not technically it's just a dwelling unit right there. It's not. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But to get to the bigger design at hand is the development of our micro unit housing. There's something very unique within the RMF 35 that and it's within the plan development section where not every district has this, but within this district, if you have a non-conforming business use, which Lingwood is, and which this county building is, you are exempt from the density requirements within that district. So in fact, we were able to build out the property as much as there was no limit to that fact. But it's being tempered by not only planning commission, but historic landmarks commission, where they're gonna come in, they're gonna look at design in terms of the level of appropriateness with all their guidelines. And you know, we'll kind of touch upon a few, but so it's kind of, it's more sensitive to the historic district as well. So in a way, you know, we're introducing a lot of these units, but these units are really in an ideal location from our point of view for density. It's kind of serving what the master plan really wants in terms of walkability. We're within a half mile of track stop. We're within walking distance of 2 grocery stores, plenty of commercial area. There's public transportation, and then as part of our plan development, we're going to participate in bike sharing program. And in addition to this building will be considered net zero as well, so it's going to be highly energy efficient. So these are the trade-offs that we're going for within the plan development process.
Just a quick thing, so we can hit the other agenda items. Can you go through your presentation in about 5 minutes? Is that okay? And then we can have some questions.
I can talk
Sorry.
for a couple hours on this, but you know, maybe this last thing I want to emphasize in terms of site planning is that ultimately we're asking for very little on this project. Very small setback exception, which is along this edge, so it's like 3 feet 9, I believe. Otherwise, it conforms to all the zoning regulations. So the only reason why we're here ultimately is the prerequisite through the plan development to propose this density. So, yeah.
Can you show us the streetscape?
Yeah.
Because to me, the streetscape along this is one of the finest sections of the historic district north and 400 south.
Yeah.
And so I really want to see the streetscape and what it looks like in terms of the setbacks from 300 south on the south side of the street.
300 south.
300
Okay.
south, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is our streetscape drawing. This is 300 south, and then we have a 600 east up high. So you just in terms of height, we can get to the setback on the previous slide. I'll show you, but it's within. In fact, some of these, you know, we're kind of in a higher slope situation down here, sloping down towards the city. It's common, but it's within the allowed height of 35 feet within the district. Actually, the building set at 34 feet. So there's no height exception that's being asked for in this process. But what our emphasis is that along 300 south, the facade is a lot smaller. We're orienting the building to 600 east as the main primary entrance, where there's more breadth and there's more kind of this blocky feel along that edge. So you can kind of see in relationship to the neighboring buildings. This is the shopping mall here.
Yeah, with the ice cream cone, right?
So here are some of the photos. Let me just quickly slip back to your question in terms of setback.
And the historical commission thing, that's on September 7th, right?
That's tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's September 7th.
Work session.
Oh,
So
okay.
that will be the opportunity for the commission to provide feedback, and then we'll be a public hearing for the historic landmark commission and the
Okay.
and then the planning commission. So that's for the historic construction, and then the planning commission will have a separate hearing for the plan development that includes request for the density exception.
Yeah, and it's truly, from my point of view, it's not an exception. It's just a approval because it's already written within the ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's an important because we're not rezoning, we're not, you know, trying to break any major rules here. We're only asking for actually a very small setback on 600 East. Trying to, can't really see it up here. So
This is your setback.
You have an image looking east on 300 South from the corner.
yeah, I have some renderings at the end I can show you too. So this is the setback right here along the block face. So we're 3 feet 10 within the average setback on this edge. And then this dotted line right here, the average setback on the block face is 16 feet 11, so 17 feet. So within the zoning ordinance, the typical setback is 20 feet and 10 feet. So this is our front of our building that's 20 feet. So it's going to be closer here. So even though we're not a part of the historic setback, which is this line, we are within the setback allowance within the zone itself. So there's no setback exception on 300 South that we're asking for. It's just 600 East. That's further down the street, not at the corner. There's a shift in the building. Kind of see it in the floor plan right here. So this is the section that would be within the prescribed setback. And, you know, part of the plan development process, you are essentially like allowed to write your own rules, if you will. And, but again, like our strategy all along was just, let's try to make it dovetail into the community as close as we can without asking for many exceptions. So that's our goal. In addition to the house, these are going to be micro units with bathrooms, kitchens, and a emergency bed. And then these are the 2 stair cores. And then within the, we have this bike shed area that's going to hold about 30 bikes in here for the community. And we're building ski lockers within the hallways as well. So these are kind of the, you know, the more architectural elevations. And something to take note of is, you know, you can probably see it better in the renderings, but we worked with Sarah quite a bit to work in transition zones between public and private with having kind of a raised courtyard at the corner, raised stoop here. Each unit has its own kind of small balcony within for each resident. And, you know, and again, like this is really the only true facade that you're going to see from 300 South. The rest is kind of setback, hooks around in the back. These are just building sections of that. So a few more renderings. This is a view looking from the corner of 300 South, 600 East, looking south. So this is our raised courtyard section. You can also saw it in our beginning elevation. The materials will be brick and fiber cement, 100% durable materials, longer lasting, a higher quality grade than the apartment complexes that you're seeing all over town. And our emphasis is on durability and longevity of the project rather than, you know, there's an economic factor that, you know, we have to consider, but we are investing in the neighborhood by creating a high quality building as well, and a high performing building. This is a view from 600 East looking north. So you kind of see in relationship to the neighbor buildings. And essentially, you know, if you drive past this corner and you go home tonight, it's going to be completely behind the trees. You will not be able to actually perceive, there are very healthy old growth trees on this corner, and especially during the summertime, it's going to just blend right in. This is a view from 300 South, looking east. So this is kind of relationship to that smaller building and the new complex. So again, you know, our whole point of kind of surveying the neighborhood is, you know, the coexistence of these smaller and medium-sized buildings all in your district. It's just from our perception, it's the nature of the place.
How many units are you proposing?
38.
38, and you'd be thinking of 1 person per unit?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the square footage?
They range from they're about approximately 250.
Is rentals or
Rentals.
rentals? Only rentals.
Only rentals.
financing is coming from the owner
And private investors.
So are we talking any subsidized units or no?
No.
Well, if I could just say, those exteriors look a lot better than some of the other buildings.
Yeah, that's
So kudos on that.
I'll just say this is like something the land use committee of Central City Neighborhood Council says over and over is,
Yeah.
we want to push developers to build family sized housing, townhomes, for sale housing. I know this is already, it's already baked and it's already well within the zoning to do what this is, but if you work on other projects in the neighborhood, we'd love to see more for sale townhomes. It's something the market's not really producing right now.
Okay, that's a good point.
Or condos, right? Yeah, we're at 10 to 15% owner occupancy in the neighborhood, and more than 50% of our housing is a 1 bedroom or less. So there's just really not that family sized home in our neighborhood.
This is not.
Yeah, I do. Actually, two.
Yeah. Sure.
So first of all, I'm just wondering, do you feel like this project takes full advantage of that maximum number or that uncapped unit maximum, right? Like, we need more housing in the city. Do you think that this is the most units you can get out of this? Because like in some ways it felt like this presentation was apologizing for how many units there are. I want to see more.
I do.
Yeah, I want more units. And so is this the most units you think you could do in this space?
Isn't it 35?
And
Plus 5.
plus 5 with no plan development. You can change the zoning, historic landmark commission, and make some exceptions. There's some room to wiggle with that, but I think it would be harder.
It would. Especially since we're in the historic district, that's the other component of the process, so.
But there's a lot of housing coming permit, so there are other opportunities too.
Just always yes. I think the other question has to be, it's a little bit large and that frontage on Third South, right? Like most of the sort of other units have some sort of gable. Was there a consideration of some sort of gabling that sort of blends the modern and the Victorian styles rather than?
Actually, there was, but when we were looking at more of an infill solution, it seemed more appropriate to kind of blend with the corner building, but within the historic guidelines, modern architecture is style. It's part of our history and it's been around for almost 100 years now. So it's part of the language. And I think maybe the most important thing to consider when you're designing within a historic neighborhood is that you don't necessarily want to mimic what's there. You want to sort of contrast a little bit, but be compatible at the same time. It's like a tough balance. And we're trying to do that with material, brick material, with balcony, with the courtyards. So, there's a little bit of give and take there in terms of like the form of it all, but if we went to more kitchen forms, we'd be losing a story out of it. So, yeah.
I know we have to move on, but I'm still not getting a sense of what it would look like, look down the rock face, the streetscape, with this, according to the ordinance, but not consistent with the existing historic streetscape. I don't get a sense of what that's gonna look like. I know you've got the outline of the building, but I don't have a sense of that streetscape right now. The buildings are lined up. That's the character of the streetscape.
I have to go back to the drawing board and do a better drawing.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe you should exchange contact info.
Yeah. That would take some time to kind of do that, but I think that's something that if this is a higher concern, yes, let's take a look at that base a little bit more precisely.
Well, we can do one more question, then we got to move on.
Do you have a projected value, monthly value?
For the in terms of what the rental rates are, it's a little bit not my department. I'm kind of like just doing the design work, that would be a question for the owners. I have heard talk of around $1,200, per unit is the projected, but it's gonna be market driven. The owners have a number of 1 bedrooms in that, on that corner, and that's what they're getting right now, so that's their rough anticipation, but, other than that,
Well, thank you. I think it does look better than the average project, just like you said. Nice materials. Thanks. Yeah.
you guys were a much easier crowd than the last. Sarah, yeah, he said,
Well,
I'm sorry, but this is your neighborhood, not theirs.
Yeah.
But
Central City's more development friendly, for sure.
well, I don't know how much we're gonna have to answer.
She's still on there. Okay, well, we've got to turn the rest of the time over to Kyle from Salt Lake City Transportation Department. If you guys, and I wish I could hook up my maybe would you want to sign in and then on Zoom? So if you guys aren't familiar, the city has been prioritizing traffic calming as part of the transportation department. Traffic calming is slowing speeds, reducing the number of cars on certain streets, and they basically took a whole map of the city, divided it up, and then they took things like crashes, income, and then they prioritized different areas to what areas should get investment for traffic calming. And southern part of Central City is a high target area, high priority area for traffic calming investment. So
Is it the Grand Boulevard or is that south?
it's south of Grand Boulevards, yeah. Right, and Kyle will he'll show us the exact section and everything, but, and Kyle, you'll be able to share your screen even if you want. So this will be pretty good. Kyle Irving.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I think if I turn your mic off. Okay. Yeah, Kyle, I think you can share your screen if you want. If that helps.
Okay. Well, thank you for the intro. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah. It's
Perfect.
awesome, but yeah.
Well, thanks for the intro, Austin. Yeah, like you said, Salt Lake City a couple years ago divided up the city into 113 zones, prioritized on crash data, socioeconomic data such as household access to vehicles, things like that. And Zone 8 is in the southern part of Central City. The zone boundaries, and I can share my screen here. Oh, I'm disabled. That's okay. I don't need it.
I'm gonna enable. Yeah.
Okay. Zone 8 runs from 3rd East
ahead.
to 5th East. You can see it on the map here. It runs from 3rd East to 5th East, and then 4th South to 9th South. The idea behind this program is it's traffic calming on local neighborhood streets. And so there's a set of criteria. One is that the speed limit has to be 30 miles an hour or less. It has to have 3 travel lanes or fewer. There has to be residential zoning in the area. And there's a couple other criteria. And so these tan streets on the map are candidate streets. We need to update this layer because after the surface treatment projects this summer, 4th East and 5th East, at least sections of them, are now candidate streets for this program. But we have a whole toolkit on the website. It shows the different types of things that we would be installing, from forced turn islands like you would see at the north and south end of Liberty Park to curb extensions. You can find those all over the city. Upgrading crosswalks, traffic circles, roundabouts, medians with landscaping, and then a bunch of vertical speed control devices like raised crosswalks and speed cushions and speed humps. So we are currently building zone 1, which is up in Capitol Hill. Zones 2 through 4, we just finished up our last round of community engagement meetings, and we are working on finalizing design and handing that over to our engineering division. And then the next zones up are zones 5 through 8, and Central City is 5 through 9, and Central City is zone 8. And so I'll likely be attending a Central City Community Council here in the near future. We are revamping our engagement strategy. Our initial strategy was very highly focused on each individual zone, but because some zones don't have a ton of people living in them, we weren't seeing a ton of engagement. And we just want to capture more feedback from people who may be traveling through the area, not just people who live right on the street. So we'll be sending out a survey. I'll provide all those materials to the council so you can share, they can share those materials and you can take the survey. And then we'll be out canvassing as well, so we can talk to all the homeowners. And then a quick update on surface treatments. 4th and 5th East, the surface treatments are done. And I don't know, 5th East is completely done, but I believe 4th East, they still need to stripe in the bike lane. Is that
I
true?
don't have bike lanes yet on 4th East.
Okay. Yeah, that's because they're doing the parking protected bike lane, and it takes a little bit more work because they have to block off. They have to set up the no parking signs 24 hours beforehand because they can't stripe it unless there's no cars parked on the street. So I don't have a specific timeline for when that's going to happen, but hopefully soon, and I can reach out to streets and get that info to you. Any questions?
So it sounds like later on we'll be able to give some feedback as far as like which type of traffic calming devices we want to see put in, right?
Yeah, so the draft of our survey is going to be asking you generally where you live and commute, how you commute, whether it's by car, transit, bike, wheelchair, that kind of thing. And then also problem streets. So the kind of feedback that we're looking for is if there's an intersection that feels particularly dangerous to cross, an area that you feel unsafe riding a bike, or just a street where you notice there's a lot of cars going over the speed limit, that kind of feedback. So we're going to keep it kind of general and let our team come up with solutions. And then we're going to set up 2 meetings, one to get initial feedback, and then one to present design solutions to everyone and talk over those. And I will likely be back next month just to let people know when those meetings are occurring. So we are just now starting thinking about these next zones. So I just wanted to make this group aware that Livable Streets is coming.
Cool. I've got one question. So we've asked about this before, but 4th East street tree median. I know there's street trees on this list here. I'm assuming that is the street tree median like down 4th East going to be too expensive for a livable streets project, or is that within budget?
That's actually a great question. 2 of the zones that we're working on, well, I guess one of the zones is in Poplar Grove, and we are proposing a median on one of the streets there on 6th South or 7th South over between 8th and 9th West. We have a lot of ideas for specific zones, but I think our funding is going to be just shy of $500,000 per zone for traffic calming. And depending on how far that funding goes will depend on whether or not we can get a median in. But it is definitely an avenue, but just rough estimates of like the initial idea that Central City proposed was like $2 to $4 million for a block for a full landscaped median. That might be a little high, but construction costs have been wild with inflation. So we may have to like tone back the expectations on center median, but it's absolutely something we would look at.
2 to 4 per block.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
Yes. It's wild. And then just one last note. Like I said, these are local streets. And so unfortunately, streets like 4th, 5th, 6th South, running east-west would not be candidates for this program. However, if there are crosswalks and things like that that are dangerous, and we can make safe connections between one local street to another across those streets, that will be considered as part of this program, but we won't be doing traffic calming specifically on the larger arterial streets with higher traffic volumes.
Any questions? Well, so I guess what we should do is, look at this list of streets and start thinking of ideas then, right?
Yeah, and I will send you the link to the website so you can check out the map and the FAQ and our toolkit and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that'd be a great first start. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
Sorry, so Annapurna is asking, I'll just move it to you.
I was just wondering, do you know if some of the streets in North Central are kind of looking at candidates for this? Because obviously there's the 200 South project, which is separate, but a lot of the North-South streets in North Central are pretty wide and not the most pedestrian friendly. And it seems like a lot of the projects stop at like 400 South.
Yeah, so the north-south streets would be 3rd East, 6th East, and 8th East. And there's a bunch more. I'm not exactly sure where the boundaries of Central City are, but those are some of the other zones in this area are in the mid-20s to low 30s. And so you are a higher priority than most streets in Salt Lake. But we just launched this program, so I'm not exactly sure how many zones we'll be able to get to each year. Hopefully we'll be able to speed this up, but so far this year we've gotten through 4, but that was with launching the entire program. So we're going to be, I would hope to get through, I don't know, at least a dozen a year next year, but it all depends on funding and staff availability. And then also as we can continue to update this map as streets have lane reconfigurations, we drop travel lanes and drop speed limits and things like that.
Do you know if north part of 400 East will be considered for some kind of project next year? I was hearing chatter of it, but I haven't seen anything official. I wasn't sure. Like the rest
Could you repeat that, Taylor? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So Troy's asking if 4th East north of 4th South, right? Is being considered for repaving, restriping. In a few, like next year or whatever, because it wasn't included this year.
I can follow up with you about that. Let me make a note.
It would be nice to have that street narrowed so it can be eligible when you get to North Central City. Because right now in North Central City, you just split it. People think because heavy roads full of lanes.
And it's not a busy street at all.
Yeah, it's like the quiet street ever. Same 2 crashes in prison, so.
Jeez.
And I will follow up with you about your question about 3rd West. I learned a little bit about that. And then Byron, I'm happy to meet again about the CCIP application.
Thanks. Okay. Any other questions for Kyle? Okay, well, thank you, Kyle. I guess we're lucky that we're within the top 10 priority areas.
Yes. And the rest of the zones are coming up soon. So that's exciting. And I will be sorry I couldn't make it in person. I will be there in person next month.
Okay, you're good. Thanks, Kyle. Okay. Well, any other comments, questions? Yeah.
You thought furniture or something. Care is doing like rebate program, and the application that's right now, you can get like between $600 and $500 off, and you buy something. So you can apply now. They will get a lot soon.
Was this the Magnum Life one?
Yeah.
I did that last night.
Yeah. So just for the people online, Troy says that UCare and Magnum are partnering, and you can get $600 to $1,200 off an e-bike purchase if you live in Salt Lake City.
That's like the income restricted one.
Yeah, there is one that you get an extra $200 off if you're like below 2 times the federal poverty level.
My bike was stolen, so I'll take any, I can get, any help I can get you, so.
Okay,
So
Well-
sorry.
we have 5 minutes if you want,
Okay,
5
well-
minutes.
Well, this is over right here, just, like 2 blocks out of our buildings. And, down the corner, second south, and, 9th East, where the Chagoya Market has been, a ratty Chagoya Market, it's been vacant, broken glass. And, this guy has come in and he's got this bike shop and has sale over weekend and installed landscaping. And I swear, we go out there and look at cool things. I saw it overnight. Well, it wasn't overnight, he was out there with contract. So, yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
Anyway, so he also has some clothing and it's 50% off over the weekend. So anyway, just local
Do we,
business.
this is East Central, but do we know what's happening to that Dollar Tree that was right in that area too?
Yes, it's going to be, right, we want a walkable neighborhood, but it's going to be an auto parts.
What? What?
Yeah, and anybody who's interested, I've got a long story about how that happened, how we got commercial zoning there. We lost 3 units of housing, long story, but way back to the 80s or 90s. But at any rate, the moral of the story is careful what you wish for. That's where Whole Foods started. That's where New Frontiers came into this community. And then it morphed over to 400 South, 600 East. And now it's at Trolley Square. It started right where the auto parts store is. We wanted a grocery store. And we gave up the housing to get a grocery store. Now we're gonna have auto parts.
That sucks. Okay, thanks everybody. Well, and